Hello everyone, myself Ruchi Patel, working as an assistant professor at LJ College of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to discuss about second year topic, that is ankle joint. And in the ankle joint, we are going to discuss about the supination twist and pronation twist. So let's start with the presentation. Before going for the topic, today's topic, we'll see first related to the tarso-metatarsal joint, or in other words, I can say that we'll see about the foot joints as well as the bones which are associated with the ankle complex. So in this figure, as you all can see, in the downward direction, this the calcaneum is present. Just above that, that is the talus. Then we have here the three cuneiform bone and one cuboid bone. Okay, and just near to the talus bone we have navicular. Okay, so we have tarsals bone. In that we have calcaneum, then talus, then we have this navicular bone, cuboid bone, and three cuneiform bones. Okay, then we have five metatarsals. Okay, and then we have phalanges. Okay, so this all the bones are present. The joint between the calcaneum and talus, it is called as subtalar joint. Then we have the transverse tarsal joint. Then we have tarso tarsometatarsal joint. Then we have metatarsophalangeal joint. Okay, and we have IP joints. Okay, so these all the joints are present in the foot, and as we all know, we have the hind foot, midfoot, and the forefoot. So hind foot is the posterior aspect of the foot. Midfoot, which includes the metatarsal and the tarsal distal row of the tarsal bone, and the forefoot, which includes the metatarsophalangeal and the phalanges. So, tarso-metatarsal joint, which are the plain synovial type of joint, and it is formed by the distal row of the tarsal bone and the bases of the metatarsals. Okay, so here we all can see this is distal row of the tarsal bone, and these are the metatarsals. Okay, so again here you all can see this joint tarso metatarsal joint. So how these tarso metatarsal joints are formed? First tarso metatarsal joint, it is formed by the medial cuneiform and the articulation of the medial cuneiform with the first metatarsal. The second tarsometatarsal joint, it is formed by the median cuneiform and the second metatarsal. Third, it is formed by the articulation of the third metatarsal and the lateral cuneiform bone. Fourth and fifth metatarsal, it has the same attachment. They both are attaching to the single bone, that is the cuneiform bone. Okay, and also they have the same capsules for the attachment. Okay, so these are the main joints, tarsometatarsal joints, which are present in the uh, tarsometatarsal joint. Now the ligament, mainly the dorsal, plantar and interosseous ligaments are present. In addition to this, we have a deep transverse metatarsal ligaments that also present from the metatarsal head till the plantar surfaces. So it covers the full plantar surface and it presents from the head of the metatarsals. So now we'll proceed for the supination and pronation twist. And before going for that, at least we should know whether the supination twist is the normal or abnormal and why this supination and pronation twist are required, right? So in weight bearing, the tarsometatarsal joint function primarily to augment the function of the transverse tarsal joint. That is, tarsometatarsal joints attempt to regulate the position of metatarsal and phalanges in relation to the weight-bearing surfaces. So, as long as the transverse tarsal joint motion is adequate to compensate for the hindfoot position, substantive, the tarsometatarsal joint is not required. However, when the hindfoot position is at the end position in this available range of motion, or the transverse tarsal joint is inadequate to provide the full compensation, the tarsometatarsal joint role will come, and which helps to maintain the forefoot position. So, in brief, I'll tell again. Normally, what will happen? The Whenever the hind foot will go for the pronation or supination position, that time transverse tarsal joint will compensate the position of the foot and will help us to maintain the foot on the ground. But in the case of whenever these transverse tarsal joints are inadequate to provide this compensatory mechanism, that time we require the other structures to help that. And for that, transverse tarsometatarsal joints will help to maintain the forefoot in the contact with the ground. Okay. So now we'll see first supination twist. So when the hind foot pronates substantially in weight bearing position, the transverse tarsal joint is generally will go for the supination. Okay, so whenever the hind foot pronate substantially in the weight bearing position, the transverse tarsal joint generally will supinate to some degree to counter rotate the forefoot and keep the plantar aspect of the foot in the contact with the ground. So whenever the hind foot, that is the calcaneum, if it is going for the pronated position, so we require the transverse tarsal joint to counter rotate in a opposite direction. Okay, so to counter rotate to maintain the forefoot in the contact with the ground. Okay, so if the range of the transverse tarsal joint supination is not sufficient to meet the compensation, or the transverse tarsal joint is not sufficient to provide the contact with the ground, that time we require the tarsometatarsal joint. So to just compensate for the movement of hind foot, we require the tarsometatarsal joint just to maintain the contact with of the forefoot with the ground. So for this, first and second rays will be pushed into dorsiflexion by the ground reaction force, and the muscle controlling to the fourth and fifth rays will go for the plantar flex. So those tarsometatarsal joint in an attempt to maintain the contact with the ground. So whenever the calcaneum is going for the pronated motion, the transverse tarsal joint will help us for the compensation. But if this compensation is inadequate, then tarsometatarsal joint will supinate the joint. Okay, and during the supination, what will happen? The first and second ray, or the first and second finger will go for the dorsiflexion, and last two toes will go for the plantar flex position just to maintain the contact with the ground. So consequently, the entire forefoot will go for the inversion rotation, and as a result, this rotation is referred as a supination twist of the tarso-metatarsal joint. Okay, so whenever we mention about the supination twist, so we should know that the calcaneum, if it is going for the pronated position, transverse tarsal joint should go for the supinate position just to compensate for the movement which is produced by the hind foot. But if this transverse tarsal joint is inadequate to provide this supination force, we require the other structures to compensate for that. And for that, metatarsophalangeal, to maintain the metatarsophalangeal joints in the contact with the ground, the tarsometatarsal joint roll will come, and first and second rays will go for the dorsiflex position. Last two rays will go for the plantar flex position. Okay, and it is called as the supination twist. So here there's ankle. In this complex, the calcaneum is going for the eversion, the talus is going for the inversion motion and plantar flexion. As a result, navicular bone is also getting in the plantar flex position, and that not provide the transverse tarsal joints proper supinate position. So here tarsometatarsal joints will help to maintain the contact with the ground, and it provides the supination. So it is called as a supination twist. In the same way, pronation twist. So when both the hindfoot and transverse tarsal joints are locked into the supination, the adjustment of the forefoot position must be left entirely on the tarsometatarsal joint. And with the hindfoot supination, the forefoot tends to lift off the ground, and the medial side will get lift off the ground, and the lateral side will press into the towards the ground. Okay, so it is called as the pronation twist. So here the subtalar supination results in the calcaneum inversion. So whenever the calcaneum is going for the supination position, with the dorsiflexion and adduction of the talus, the transverse tarsal joint will have a little motion to produce the pronation. So in this case, we require the tarsometatarsal joint. So here, the first and second ray will go for the plantar flex position, whereas fourth and fifth rays will go for the dorsiflexion. Just it is opposite to the supination twist. So here, the medial surface we have to keep in the contact with the ground. So for that, first and second rays will go for the plantar flexion, and fourth and fifth rays will go for the dorsiflexion. So this motion results in the pronation or the eversion motion, and it is called as the pronation twist at the tarsometatarsal joints. Okay, so here the same example has been given for the pronation twist. Okay, so this is all about the supination and pronation twist. For the further detail, you all can refer the Joint Structure and Function by Cynthia Norkin. Thank you.